You saw what Larry Kudlow said. Is the state of the... I was kidding. We're going to interview you again, but it can be a free exchange.
I'm happy to interview you.
It can be a free exchange. Let's do it that way. So he was very bullish. We've had, at the same time, Paul Tudor Jones and Ray Dalio with a plethora of issues that they see with the future, whether it's debt or whether it's income inequality. Where are we really, do you think, objectively?
Well, as Dizzy Dean, the famous pitcher, said, you know, it's not really bragging if you actually can deliver. And so, yes, there's some bragging about the economy, but the economy's in really good shape. So people who aren't happy with the president, they may not agree that some of his policies work, but some of these policies seem to be working. So I'm not saying I'm a supporter or a detractor of his. I'm just saying that the policies seem to be working. The U.S. economy is in reasonably good shape. Who would have predicted a year ago that we'd be where we are today? Nobody would have, probably. So the economy is doing pretty well. It may never stay this strong for a long time. You never know. But right now, I don't see any prospect of a recession in 2020. And I also think unemployment is going to stay low. Interest rates will stay low. So economy is pretty good.
Becky, every once in a while, Druck will send something in. So he watches, Stan Druck, last week. This is a fact. He said, when people start talking about capitalism not working, he said, tell them this. For every billionaire created, 250,000 people have been lifted out of poverty in the last 10, 20 years.
Well, look at China.
For each billionaire, 250,000. Is that a fair trade?
China has more billionaires than the United States, but also about 1 billion people have been lifted out of poverty. Maybe 800 million have been lifted out of poverty since China has really become part of the global economic scene. So, yes, there are a lot of billionaires in China, but China's economy overall for everybody is much better.
What's our biggest problem right now? Is it sustainability? Is it climate change?
There are lots of problems. You always have problems. What would life be when you didn't have problems, right? So problems are, number one, I think we do have a lot of debt we have to pay off at some point, $23 trillion of debt.
Can we do that?
At some point,
I don't know if we pay it off. Can we manage it?
We can manage it? Right now, it's manageable, but at some point, it'll have to be dealt with. And if interest rates go up, that could be a problem. Number two is I do think we have income inequality and lack of social mobility. So the people at the top are doing well, but we have people at the bottom who are not really rising up. And one of the reasons is we have a large problem with literacy. 14% of the people in this country cannot read above a fourth grade level. That's a problem. 14% cannot read above a fourth grade level. And right now, 80% of the people in juvenile delinquency system are functionally illiterate. 2/3 of the people in our federal prison system are functionally illiterate. So that's a problem. You have income inequality and social mobility problems. You have debt problems. And you also have the fact that, eventually, in my lifetime and your lifetime, we're going to have to deal with the entitlements issue. We have large entitlements that we're obligating to pay people, and we probably can't pay them fully as much as we promised. So that'll have to be dealt with.
We heard from Paul Tudor Jones about profit margins in 1970, where they are now, and that the amount of sharing from corporations between shareholders and employees is at the lowest level ever. As if it almost sounded as if corporate America got greedy, and I think it doesn't take into account the way we became a global player, and all the labor moved offshore at $3 an hour, and that hurt a lot of our middle class and our and low class people. And that's the thing. Aren't we trying to do the things that would reverse that? And some of this America First mentality may be warranted given what's happened.
There's virtually no economy in the world that wouldn't like the U.S. economy. The economy is doing pretty well for a lot of the reasons we discussed. Secondly, when the stock market does well, obviously people at the top do well, but who owns these stocks? Largely, it's pension funds.
They still argue that's not true, that only 50% of Americans own, even directly or indirectly, any stock.
Well, but that's indirectly, I think almost everybody owns something because they have pensions. Their pensions are own so much of the stock in the stock market.
Pensions are harder and harder to come by.
So, yes, but there's a lot of existing pension funds. State employees have pension funds.
401ks.
There's a lot of and 401ks. So the truth is, I think the U.S. economy can always be better, can always be fairer, but it's in reasonably good shape. And for example, 1 year ago, when we were here, people were thinking the U.S. economy couldn't get any better. Now, I don't know exactly why, but it did. Now, President Trump said today it was his policies. Maybe there are other things that we're taking into account as well. Who thought we'd get a China deal as soon as we did? We weren't sure the USMCA would go through. So I don't want to be trumpeting his policies only. I think the Democrats have done a lot to make things better as well. I think the USMCA is better because of some of the things they did. And I do think that they were pushing for a good, strong China deal as well. But in the end, right now, the U.S. economy is in pretty good shape.